Ayinger Festmarzen.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. I have got another one for the Oktoberfest. This is the Ayinger Festmarzen. And Festmarzen, or Fest beer, is a term that's given to the beer that is brewed by the brewers who are not based in the city limits of Munich. And they're not allowed to use the word Oktoberfest in their beer because that name has been trademarked and taken by the 6 brewers who are based in Munich, because effectively that's where the Oktoberfest starts, that's where the tradition comes from, and the 6 brewers that are based there have got the monopoly on the use of that term. The 6 breweries that are based in Munich being, of course, Löwenbräu, Hacker-Pschorr, Spaten, Paulaner, Augustiner, and what is the other one? Hofbrau, of course. How could I forget Hofbrau? They're the only ones you'll find Oktoberfest beer on the labels of their beer. Everyone else, of course, has got Fest beer or Festmarzen. Marzen is effectively the beer that is brewed for the Oktoberfest. Now, what is Marzen? Well, in German, Märzen, as it's pronounced, is German for March, the month of March. And I think it was in the 16th century, 1530 something, can't remember the exact year, but they decreed then that beer could only be brewed from the 29th of September to the 23rd of April. Why was that? Reason being was they were brewing bottom fermented beer, they wanted to store it or lager it, and of course the weather was nice and cold. It was perfect for storing beer. But when it, after April and May, especially in Bavaria, it gets really hot in southern Germany. And, it's totally redundant now because refrigeration and the advances in refrigeration and preservatives, etc. Not that preservatives are allowed in the beer, but ways of preserving beer. They've advanced so much since the 15th century, 16th century. And that was the reason, so as you could store that beer in cold temperatures and the yeast would do its thing, etc, etc. And that's where it comes from, Marzen. Now, Marzen is just a term for the beer. But the characteristics are, it's bottom fermented, it is of a lager type style, but you can have Dunkel Marzen, you can have Helles Marzen, you have Festmarzen obviously, but it's basically beer that was brewed in between the 29th of September and the 23rd of April. Where did these dates come from? 29th of September in Germany. Remember, Germany was a strictly religious country back then. 29th of September is the feast of St. Michael, and the 23rd of April, of course, is St. George's Day. If you're English and you didn't know that, shame on you. So Ayinger have come up with this Fest beer. Ayinger, of course, old brewery from Bavaria, not from Munich, of course. They've been going since 1877. They produce some absolutely fantastic beer. If you look on the channel, I have reviewed quite a lot of their beer, and it's been consistently good. One of my favourite beers is they call it an Old Bavarian Dark or Altbayerisch Dunkel. It's effectively a Dunkel, but it tastes absolutely gorgeous. It's one of the nicest dark beers I've ever tasted. It's very akin to a British brown ale, but just sweeter. And it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's one of my favourite styles. I've used it on a channel as the banner because, I've spent many a night. Where I used to work, I haven't been in the office now because of COVID, but there was a German bar around the corner from there and they sold it there. And that's where I discovered it. and it will forever remain one of my favourite beers of all time. If you ever get a chance to try some, or you see it online, buy it. I guarantee you'll like it. Even if you're a lager fan, if you're an ale fan, you'll love it. It's lovely. Anyway, enough about that. We're talking about this Festmärzen. Okay, so this is a 500ml bottle, or the Builder's half litre, as they call these tile bottles. It is a 5.8% beer, and of course, being Bavarian, it conforms to the Reinheitsgebot. Now, Aieringer, of course, just a little bit about the brewery before I go on. They have obviously the brewery, but they also have a hotel, and they're, you know, it's a tourist spot, and I'm gonna try and convince the missus to get over there and spend a weekend of culture. And when I say culture, I just mean getting roaring drunk on good Bavarian beer. But she might know that. Anyway, let's get this open. Right, now, if this is the first review you've seen of the Ayinger Brewery, on all their beers they have these caps, and it looks like almost like a little vignette of the brewery. It looks absolutely lovely, and I really do like that. That is a nice touch. You know, no name, just a little vignette of their brewery. Right, let's get the beer in a glass. I'm using an ABK glass. It's a lager glass basically, so it doesn't really matter. Now I'm just going to fill this out halfway and see what is going on here, because yeah, look at the colour, and this is what I'm saying. Märzen beer is usually amber in colour, and it's varying shades of amber. I just tried the ABK Fest beer. That was a lot darker. It was almost like a bitter, a British bitter, but this stuff is slightly lighter. Very, very light carbonation in that. It's got an orange hue to it, very tightly packed, 1.5 finger head. What are we getting on the nose? Oh, lovely, lovely sweet malt. That is absolutely gorgeous. That's all I'm getting at the moment, is that sweet Munich malt that you get in the Aieringer beers. Oh, just even more there now. And I'm assuming they're using Hallertau hops, but I'm not getting any hop earthiness or spiciness from that at all. But it smells really nice. Let's get the whole lot filled out and see what's going on. Of course, this is filtered. There's no dregs at the bottom. Now that looks absolutely gorgeous. Typically German. Yeah, and I always get this type of, I don't know whether it's the yeast or the malt. I'm assuming it's the malt, but I get like quite a nutty.
It's a bit nutty.
Type of aroma and flavour from all the Aieringer beers, especially the Altbayerisch Dunkel. It's got a really sweet, nutty flavour to it. It's really nice. And I'm getting that off this as well. So let's dive in. Zum Wohl, as I say in Germany. Oh, that's really nice. Wow, that is gorgeous. Really long aftertaste on that. Dough, bread, and slight nutty aroma coming from that. Slight nutty flavour coming from that malt. And it tastes absolutely gorgeous. And when I saw it online, I got it from Beer Hawk. That's where I got it from. And I saw it on there and I thought, I know that's going to be a good one. I didn't realise it was going to be this good. Oh, and it's super light as well, but with a body as well, if you can imagine that. And there's that lovely nutty bready aftertaste on it. This is superb. This is a real good one. And believe it or not, as I say, I've just tried the ABK stuff. The first mouthful I took from that was very sweet, and it tasted like it was glucose syrup in there. I know there wasn't, but that's what it tasted like. It tasted almost like it was artificially sweetened. And I got that from the Löwenbräu Oktoberfest beer. And that put me off. Now, I did have that in the freezer for a while, for about 5 or 10 minutes, and that could have affected the flavour. But I did get that from the ABK as well. I know it's not glucose syrup, it's just super sweet malt. This hasn't got that. This is more of a bready, nutty style flavour to it, which is in keeping with all the Aieringer stuff, and it's really nice. And I saw, you know, a while back I was just looking at reviews of all the Oktoberfest beers, and I saw Americans saying, nah, not sure about this, you know, doesn't taste like an American light beer. And you just fucking want to bang your head off the fucking wall and say, it's not fucking supposed to taste like that. It's a Märzen, but it's really nice. I mean, this is really good. I would say this is better. Now, I'll have to revisit the Löwenbräu again. I'm going to get some more of that, and I'm just going to keep that in the fridge, and I'm going to review that on its own strength, because I think I may have fucked it up leaving it in the freezer. But certainly this is better than the Spaten, in my opinion. I think it's more tasty. It's just got more character to it. Don't get me wrong, the Spaten stuff is absolutely gorgeous. And out of the three, the Hofbrau for me was top. That was absolutely amazing stuff. That was brilliant. And the other two I tried were the Löwenbräu and the Spaten. The Spaten stuff was, yeah, it was brilliant. The Löwenbräu I wasn't too keen on. I thought it was too sweet and it just lacked something. I'm going to revisit that. But this stuff, I know I can't really compare it with the other stuff, but because it, you know, it's not it is, but it's not an Oktoberfest beer. This, of course, has to call itself a fest beer, but as it stands now, I think this will knock Spaten and Löwenbräu out of the park, and it will take up second place for me. This is absolutely gorgeous stuff. So smooth, full of flavour, very little hop character, but it's there, and you're just getting the merest hint of earth and spice. But this is all about the malt, and it's big, doughy biscuit malt with a touch of caramel on there. Not much, like the ABK. There wasn't much, but it's there, and you just get a little backbone of it. But it's nice, and I'm caning this, so, and I've got to calm down. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous, but I wouldn't have expected anything less from Aieringer. So what's the verdict on Ayinger Fest beer? Yeah, really good. Really, really good. But I wouldn't have expected anything less from them, because they are a superb brewery. I think, I could be wrong, but I think there's only about 3 or 4 of their range, and they do about 12 or 13 beers. I think there's only 3 left that I have to do, and they're all good. They really are. Oh, well, they're more than good. They're outstanding beers from an outstanding brewery. I have to give this a 10 out of 10 because it is a 10 out of 10 beer. And, you know, I know it's coming up to Oktoberfest now, but I urge you to try these Oktoberfest beers because these are, in my opinion, some of the best beers that are produced by these individual German breweries. I think they go all out to produce a great beer for the Oktoberfest because they know it's going to sell really well because everybody's going to be drinking. Now don't get me wrong, Marzen is a great style. I love Marzen. I think Doppelbock is probably my favourite German style, followed by, no, I'd say Weiss beer is probably my favourite style, followed by Doppelbock. But when I taste Marzens, really good Marzens like this, I do question whether, you know, Marzen should be my favourite style because it's absolutely gorgeous. It really is. And this is one of the best. It's up there with the I think the Hofbrau edges it a little bit, but this ain't far off it. I've yet to try the Paulaner, yet to try the Hacker-Pschorr, and I've yet to try the Augustiner. When I try them, I'll give you my verdict. But so far, this is really impressive. For me, it's number 2 Oktoberfest beer behind the Hofbrau. Number 3 Spaten. Number 4, I'd say the Löwenbräu, and then, you know, I've got to try the rest to work out what's best. But yeah, this is 10 out of 10. Definitely recommended. And remember, beer is working class champagne.